Hi guys, I just wanted to give you just a quick lesson that you can watch while you guys are trying to remember what domain and range is, because it's been a couple of days and I know it's a very confusing topic. So this is just something I want you to get really good at. So the first thing that we have to remember is that the domain always refers to the x values represented in a problem, and the range is always going to refer to the y values represented in the problem or in the graph. Now, most of these graphs that we're going to be dealing with are continuous. That just means like I could draw them like without lifting up my pencil. And even though they're made up of an infinite number of points, like a line or whatever, you are still going to be, for the domain, you're still going to be reading it from left to right. And you're always just wanting to, like, what points is this stuck between? Or does it go on forever in one direction? Stuff like that. And then your range, you're always looking on the y value, or the y-axis, I mean. So that's reading it from top to bottom. So your domain, you're reading it on the x-axis from left to right. Range is the y-axis going up and down. And we write it in those interval notations with those inequality signs. So let's just talk about this problem down here. So what I really want you to do, so these ones, they're giving you what the answer is. So the domain is -7 to 5. And this is how exactly we're going to write it. We're going to talk about a couple of different things in here. So one, this is kind of what we did in class. So remember, the domain is covering all the x values between the two endpoints. And since we're talking about the x-axis, we want to see like what two endpoints are down here. So I always just go from the point through the x-axis so I can see exactly which points I'm dealing with. Okay, so hopefully you guys realize over here, if you were counting, this would be -7 this way, and then this guy would be +5 this way. But something that we did not talk about before is, sorry, I had a computer issue, is this open circle. So when we were writing these before, we were writing these like with always the less than or equal to thing. Since this dot is closed, that means this is exactly at -7. -7 is definitely covered on this graph. But since this dot is open, that means that this line is approaching +5, but it does not include +5. So you'll notice over here, that is why there's no line underneath this inequality. So I'm just going to write it down one more time. So x has to be greater than or equal to -7. Remember, the alligator's eating the x because it's got to be greater than that. But now it's just going to be less than 5. So that little line underneath it does mean something. Okay, and then it's pretty much the same exact thing with the range. Now I'm going to take the lowest points, all the y values over here. So I'm going to take the lowest point and I'm going to draw this line through the y-axis, and you'll notice it should be hitting at -3. And then I'm taking the highest point up here and I'm going through the y-axis this way, and you'll notice it's on 1. And then also, since this dot is open again, you'll notice that this one does not have a less than or equal to underneath it. So it can be exactly -3. So y can be exactly greater than or equal to -3, but it cannot be exactly 1. So that's just like the line versus no line is for the open and closed circles. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next one. Okay, so notice over here, whenever your graph is going on forever in one direction, so like if you have this arrow that's making it go on forever to infinity in one direction, that's where you're only going to have one set of inequalities. So for this one, your x is talking about, let me get my pink highlighter, your x is talking about where it hits on the x-axis. So this is my lowest value on my x-axis, which is 0, and then it keeps on going on forever in the positive direction. So that means x just has to be greater than or equal to 0. And again, you can read all these explanations by yourself. And then I'm going to go to the y-axis, and what's the lowest point on the y-axis? It's 0 again, since it's starting at that origin, and then it's going on and on forever upwards. So it's going to be almost the same exact thing, except like your domain is with x and your range is with y. So whenever you have arrows going on in one direction, that means you're always going to have just one absolute, not absolute, inequality sign. Okay, now this one's a little bit different. Okay, so we talked about this one very briefly. So this one, it's going on in two directions. So this graph is slowly going outwards and outwards and outwards this way, and it's slowly going outwards and outwards and outwards this way. So whenever you have two arrows going in both directions, so whenever you have a parabola facing up or you have a parabola facing down, your domain is always going to be all real numbers. It's going on and on and on forever in both directions. But now your range. Notice over here, you definitely do have your minimum right over here. That means your lowest y value is going to be 0. And then your highest y value, that's where these arrows come in again, that's going to go to infinity. So that is why your range is just going to be greater than or equal to 0. So you just have to look out for that really fast. Okay, and then I'm just going to do the first problem. Well, yeah. Okay, so when you're looking at these, and then it's also asking you whether or not these things are functions. So remember, a function, easiest way to tell with the graph is, does it pass the vertical line test? So can I draw a vertical line through all of these where it only hits the graph once? So this one would be yes. This one, definitely not. If I draw a vertical line through this, I'm hitting a ton of points just because it is a vertical line. If I draw a vertical line through this one, I'm hitting 2 points, so that's no. If I draw a vertical line through this one, I'm hitting 2 points, so that's a no. If I draw a vertical line through this one, yes, I am only hitting it one at a time, so this one is a function. Okay, so you just pretty much have to just really ask yourself, what is my domain and range? So like if I'm going over here, we'll just do the first one together. I want my from left to right, what is my lowest? So if I count over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I know my lowest x value is going to be -6. I know I'm stuck between 2 points. I know that both of these points are closed, so I can have that less than or equal to sign. And then my greatest point is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over here. And then when I go on to my range, I want my lowest point that it goes on the y-axis. So I'm just going to draw that down here. So my lowest point is going to be 0. My highest point is going to be up here. So then my range, my lowest point is 0. So it's got to be 0 is less than or equal to y. And this y has to be less than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right, so you are trying to match this and the fact that it is a function to one of these. And then all you have to do is just put the letter that it matches to. So we just did A over here. So whenever you find a domain and range that looks like this, you just put an A next to here. I don't see it on this page, but I don't want to go searching for it. And then so you would just put A over here, and then you would circle yes or no, or it tells you yes or no. So that's also just like another hint. Okay, so I hope that kind of helps. If you do have any other questions, please let me know. Please attempt this honestly because it will really, really help you in the future. Okay, have fun. Bye.